Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller, and welcome to Fast Fridays. Now, I've been thinking about this. You could be listening to this any day of the week, and although I like that they're like fast, like I'm giving it to you fast, like the information, the nitty-gritty, I'm rethinking the name a little bit because Fast Fridays, I mean, inspiration can be fit in anywhere, not just Friday. So whenever you're listening to this, thank you for listening. But I'm thinking about switching the name to like the mini drips, like drips of inspiration, like mini drips, golden hour drip instead of the whole hour. It's a mini drip. I don't know. Still playing around with that idea. So welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad that you are here. Today we are going to be talking about motivation and discipline and how they play hand in hand and how also they like don't have to correlate, because we've often been told that to be successful, you have to be motivated all the time. You have to be a go-getter and motivated. We hear this word all the time. But I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I've put out an episode every single week for the past 3 years. Sometimes more than one episode, right? Like today's mini drip, Fast Friday, whatever you want to call it. And not every single week am I motivated to post. I'm always down to podcast, but it's the start, right? And sometimes the start can be the hardest part because you have to disrupt a thought or an action that you are doing, or maybe the lack of an action, because instead of being productive or working on your goals or working on the things that you want to do, maybe you are laying on the couch or sitting on your bed or lying in the bathtub, any of those things, and you know that you should be doing something else, but it just seems like so much effort and I just don't feel motivated right now. Like I'll do it in a little bit, I'll do it after a while. And then it seems like you don't actually ever get it completed or done. And then it's pushed off to the next day. I personally haven't felt super motivated lately in housework, in working out, in decluttering, picking up, all those things that I know are so good for me, that keep me regulated, that keep me happy and just overall like functioning. Because whenever I have laundry or dishes or any other housework, like cleaning the like wall boards or mopping, like those can feel so hard sometimes, and it's all about like getting started. I don't always feel motivated to start, but instead of relying on motivation, I rely on my discipline. Now, discipline can always be strengthened. Discipline is a muscle. If you don't use it, you will lose it if you don't actually do it, right? Like that's a whole thing, right? Like it seems good in an idea, but if you don't actually do it, what is the point? What is the worth? And it's better to be decisive and say, yes, I am going to get up, I'm going to work out, I'm going to, make this a priority. And then it's another to not do it. And you're putting yourself through like twice suffering, right? Like you're beating yourself up because you haven't gone and worked out. And then working out is like a form of beating yourself up, right? Like you have to lift heavy weights, you have to do cardio, like whatever workout you're doing, it's putting you through some sort of pain, right? Same could go for writing a paper or going to work, housework, any of those things that we have on our to-do list that we're suffering because we keep overthinking, oh my gosh, like I should be doing this, I should be doing this. And it's better to either make the decision, yes, I'm going to be doing this. This is important to me. I'm making time for it. Because you spend almost the same amount of energy overthinking on why you can't be doing it because you're too busy, you're too tired, you don't have enough time. And that thinking is actually the same amount of energy if you would just do it. I personally overthink just a little bit, especially right before bed or when I am at an obligation I cannot get out of and all I can think about is all the other things that I should be doing in this moment. And when obviously if I have an obligation, I can't be doing something else. But when I am focusing my time or doing something that should not be my focus in that moment, it's like a second amount of suffering because I'm not doing the thing and I keep thinking about that I need to be doing it. So it's one thing to set goals for yourself, but don't set goals if you're not actually going to do them. That might seem kind of backwards. You might think if I never set a goal, I'll never make them. But let's think about your New Year's Eve goals. We're in April. How are those goals going? Are you working on them? Are you doing them? Have you started it? Personally, I've done a little bit of a gut check myself, and there are things that I haven't been doing. And I want you to know that if you're one of those people who needs to get on their goals and have not made the progress that you wanted to make, it's okay. But you need to decide right now, are you going to continue on that goal? Are you going to beat yourself up about it? Or are you going to let it go? Because I can tell you, the keeping the goal and doing the goal and then beating yourself up about the goal, not doing the goal, same amount of energy. The time is going to pass no matter what, right? Like the time will pass whether or not you are working on your goals or you are not working on your goals. So it's up to you to decide if that goal is a priority, if that goal is something that you want to continue working on. It's a great gut check, but then be honest with yourself the next time New Year's resolutions come out or another Monday, a new month, a new year, any of those things come around. You need to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I said this was a priority to me. I tried it, it didn't work. And sometimes I use this reverse psychology on myself where I say, if you don't do it right now, you can never work on it again. If you do not get up and go record a podcast, you can never record another podcast again. For me, that's pretty motivational, right? Like that's pretty like, oh my gosh, are you being real right now? Like you kind of have to be that mean parent to yourself and say, hey, like if this is important to you, if this is something that you want to continue, either do it or never do it again. And I use that on myself all the time when I'm trying to kick it into gear, when I'm trying to move myself out of a slump, when I am trying to disrupt the current activity or routine that I'm in. And it does not have to be perfect. I sometimes have this hard thing of I want to get it all done and I want to get it all done correctly. And if I'm not going to do it perfectly, why do it at all? I get overwhelmed with the thought of, okay, like it's morning time, like should I even try to clean the kitchen? I know I'm not going to get it all done. So like I should just save it because I don't want to leave a task unfinished. But what I've been trying to learn and teach myself is it is perfectly okay to do a little bit here and there because that is going to slowly gain momentum. It's going to add on to a little bit at a time, like a snowball. where if you do something great, something for your future self, if you do something that is going to push the needle a little bit further, it might feel like minuscule inches or millimeters or half a millimeter. Like it might feel like you are pushing so hard on this goal and having to rely on your discipline, and you are not always motivated, and you feel like you are suffering, you feel like the needle is not moving, you feel like you are at a standstill. But it's the same concept of the man who dug in a mine for 10 years and then decided that there's no gold in the mine, sold the mine, and the next person who bought the mine mined for like half a day and struck gold. You never know when you're about to hit that breakthrough or about to have a big enough snowball that it's going to catch its own momentum, and then it's going to keep rolling and rolling and rolling so big that you're unable to stop it, that you are unable to discourage it, that you are, it almost has a life of its own. And it is rolling and rolling and rolling and picking up things there and picking up things there. Once you get to that point, it will feel like you've struck gold. It will feel like everything has came together and is aligned, and that's what you've been waiting for. That's what you have been working so hard for. But you will never get there if you do not continue to work at it, to continue to chip away at the rock surrounding your gold. And it does not have to be pretty. It does not have to be perfect. It just needs to be progress and consistent. You got to do it every single day. I have been putting off 2 learning courses that I've purchased. I've invested money. I've not invested the time. Sometimes for me, it's easy to just spend the money, like I have it, it's fine, but I don't actually implement it. I don't actually do it. This past weekend, I bought a bunch of flowers. I bought bulbs that were $1 instead of $6. I bought a slew of plants, and that evening I put almost all the plants in the ground except for I have 25, I forget what they're called. They are an annual, so they'll like die and not come back. I thought they were a perennial, and so I'm mad that I bought the wrong thing. And then I bought a perennial that will come back next year, but they need to be put in the ground, not in like my little flower bed. They need to be put in the ground by the fence. And I bought them on Sunday, and I'm recording this on Thursday right before Friday. They're not in the ground. I bought hyanthus for $1, and they're still sitting on my windowsill, and it's almost been 7 days. It's easy to buy in halfway, right? Like it's easy to maybe spend money for you, but it might be hard to actually implement it. You might have bought all the things for the hobby, but haven't actually done the hobby. Tonight, Garrett and I ran to Lowe's. We needed a new hose. Ours had broke. We've had it for the past couple of years. We needed a new hose. And while I was there, they had Roma tomatoes and grape tomatoes, which I love grape tomatoes. I can eat them like crazy. And then last year, I couldn't find any Roma tomatoes, and so I couldn't grow them. So I wanted to make sure that I got the plants, and I purchased them. I have 8 of them. I got home and I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna put them in the ground right now, because if it was a priority, we're going to Lowe's tomorrow. We're going to Lowe's tomorrow to buy some more boards to make a second garden box. If it was a priority for me to purchase them tonight, to have them and make sure that they didn't sell out, it needs to be a priority for me to actually get in the ground. Because what is the point of purchasing them a day earlier if I'm not going to have the action behind it, if I'm not actually going to put them in the ground? So I spent the 30-40 minutes mapping out the garden and putting them in the ground and watering them. You know, I had to get the hose out, I had to move it around, I had to go to the other side. Garrett was watering his grass and then the front, and then so I had to, it was conceptually a lot of work. I had a full work day and I wanted to come home, take a shower, and relax in front of the TV. But I couldn't do that because I bought into it, right? Like if I want to have a garden, that's a hobby that I want to do, I need to actually put the effort behind it. These courses that I purchased, I bought one in January and this past one in, I guess, February. So January and February, and I have not started. I've started, I have my login, but I hadn't started it. And I was like, this was the previous night, so this was Wednesday night, and I really just wanted to sit in front of the TV. I wanted to watch TV. I wanted to relax. I did not want to work on my course. But when will I ever get started? When will I actually have enough motivation? You won't. You will never have enough motivation to start. Or you might be in this super, super high energy and this amazing, okay, go getter. That energy, that's usually the energy where we purchase things, or we sign up for things, or we make the commitment. It is the days after that follow where we have to have the discipline and the follow through. We have got to follow through. And so I wanted to lay on the couch. But I told myself, you know what? It is just as easy to lay on, in my podcast room, I have carpet. It is just as easy to lay on the carpet with a blanket and start a course. You can start anywhere. You can start doing it. Like, you do not have to have the motivation. You can literally be laying down. You can be laying down and working on your goals. I know it depends on what goal you have, but it's the concept. You do not have to be at the full energy. You do not have to be in this super, super high energy where you can make the commitment and it's so great and you make the store in your head and you're at the top of the mountain. You got to get there. You have got to climb the mountain. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the hours, and it is okay if you start laying down. I started with my course literally last night. After putting it off, it is the middle of April, putting it off for weeks. Here I am laying on the floor. I'm watching it. I'm taking notes. It's starting to click for me. I'm feeling more inspired. I feel the ball rolling. I feel the snowball. I'm like, okay, like I'm feeling good. And I decided, you know what, like it's been a while since I have gotten up to work out. And it's hard for me to wake up early if I am not immediately going to the gym. It's hard for me to have a slow morning when I can be having that slow morning in bed. And I literally, like, in my journal was writing about what I wanted my life to look like. And it had like a morning walk, it had wake up slow, it had like these very gentle, calming things. I was like, what are you waiting for? You literally can do this tomorrow. So after starting on the floor, watching this course, taking notes, feeling a little bit motivated, I have a walking pad. I haven't used it for 3 weeks. I got my walking pad out of the closet. I set it up underneath the desk. I put my laptop out. I made it easy, okay? When you're starting a habit, when you're starting to build the discipline muscle, when you're starting to just like get it together, it is so much easier when you can put it all out, right? Like you can put it out, it's easy to get to, you're reminded of it. Okay, when I see it, I'm gonna do it. And so I had it out, I had it under the desk, and I worked on the next morning. I got up at 4:15 and I came in here, I walked on my treadmill. My goal has been 10,000 steps for the year of 2023, and I am so proud to announce that I have had 11,282 steps today, because I started yesterday. I started on the floor. I started with low energy. I started with not wanting to do it. And with that, just starting and doing it even when I hated it, then I was able to set myself up for success for the next morning. I put the treadmill out. I put it under the desk. I've got the computer out. I laid my clothes beside my bed. And it was hard to get up this morning. It was so hard. I literally told myself, like, you could lie back in bed. As soon as Garrett leaves for the gym, you could lie back in bed. You could hit the snooze for 10 minutes. You could do it. You could totally do it. He would never know, right? Like, he would never know. But I kept getting dressed. I started to make the bed. I switched laundry. I came in here and I started. Like, it does not... You can literally be fighting yourself the entire time. You can be not motivated. You can have low energy. You just have to be a little bit tougher than your mind, right? Like, you just have to literally tell yourself you're going to do it. If you made that commitment to yourself, you're going to do it, or you could never do it again, right? Like, use that. I promise you, it will start to snowball. So here I was able to wake up and do it, and then I trust myself a little bit more. Hey, I did it. X a day. Great job. 11,000. That's a penny in the good jar, whatever. Like, and so tonight I'm going to put my treadmill under the desk. I'm going to make it easy so that even when I have low energy, I can still follow through and I can still work on my goals. So this is to tell you that if you aren't where you want to be and you want to, get there, these are the steps you're going to take, right? Like, you're going to make it easy. You're going to start with low motivation and you're going to let it snowball, because I promise you it will. You'll find that high energy again, and you will be so glad that you started when you did. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Oh my gosh, a tongue twister. Share with someone who might need to hear this message, and I hope that you have an awesome rest of your day. Bye.